All right, everybody, welcome back, and this is it. We have made it. This is the top 8 for the Champ of Champs. It was a grueling qualifier, 5 rounds of Swiss to get us here. With me co-commentating this first round and commentating on another one of his own games is my good friend David McMillan, co-founder with me of Lazarus Rising Games. Dave, welcome.
Welcome, and sorry everybody, I'm commenting on my own game again. I couldn't help it. I just had too good a tournament. I'm just kidding.
So one thing that was interesting that makes this really fun for players who go to these qualifiers, of all the highest ranked players that got the invite in the top 8, I believe half of the people I had to qualify in, you had to qualify in. There was multiple people in the top 8 that were people who won the qualifier and then performed well the next day. So it just goes to show you, you still have a chance even if you don't have the best season.
I really enjoy this format for an exhibition because you do get to reward the people who have played well the prior season. And you also have a great qualifying event. We had 28 people for a qualifier. What a great Friday night event. And just a very competitive field with some of the best players duking it out just to get a chance to get into the Champ of Champs Swiss. And then 5 difficult rounds of Swiss, and here we are in the playoff.
And we got to see some really creative deck building, which one of the things I love about where the state of OverPower is now, and this is a little bit of patting ourselves on the back, but we've really gotten to see some creative decks. I will say my game against Howard Bertrand's deck was one of the funnest ones that I had in the qualifying round. Howard, the only thing I'll say about it, which is I think what he gives away for public information, he was playing a max 6 deck, which I believe he qualified for the next day, and I barely squeaked by, and I think I might have been his only loss. Getting to see decks like that where it just, if you were around the clock, even 5 years ago before we really started to introduce some of the home bases that we have, those kind of things were virtually unheard of. And so it's really great to see, watching Andrew Taylor win Boston with a Galactus teamwork deck. He came in, and in one tournament, a new player has completely rewritten the rule book on the game as far as what you can play. Playing Galactus, playing Annihilation Affair with 2 events that were overlooked as relatively inconsequential. And also one of the events being a response to the meta that Marcel and Phil Keffer set with their tournament-winning decks throughout the season, which were strength-based. So really, really great to see. How have you felt about the field overall, Dave, with regards to the creativity and decks that you've seen?
I mean, I've seen a lot of things I haven't seen before. I've also seen players, rather than abandon unique mechanics when they first aren't up to, A+ tournament decks, they've refined them to where we're getting these perfect puzzles that are fun to play, where you sit down and get across from an opponent and they've really thought about and really dug deep to make a deck that is effective and a challenge to diagnose. So kudos to the whole community, I think, for really reinventing what OverPower can be.
No, I agree. So we've chatted enough. Let's get over to this table and see. We've got a match here. As we've said so far, this is the top 8, but we are doing this commentary after the fact, which awards us some nice ability to have you guys both commentate on your own game. You guys are jumping right in, but Phil Miller, who we saw had gone 0-2 in the first 2 rounds, managed to win out against some pretty good opponents his last 3, and he was the number 8 seed going into this. So, Phil Miller has had a rough day before, but you can never count out the Strangler. He's made his way into the top 8 after having a really abysmal start. So we're going to see how it goes in this match here. So, Dave, I believe you placed second. Are you going first or second? Oh, you're the higher seed.
So I chose to go first, which
Okay.
I think in retrospect, I probably should have gone second. I did have a duplicate. I was a little worried about his JW pressure deck, but I have trainings and his JW is a max 7 in White Queen. So I think if I could do it again, I might want to go second and parry. And if I could have redrawn for my duplicate, maybe I start in a better position.
Yeah.
I I think Phil bets. I think I bet two, and Phil bet one, and is staying in. He does have a card advantage, but his teamwork is presenting as unplayable. It's an energy teamwork, and the only place power card I see is a seven energy on White Queen. So I think
And
I'm
the eight
banking on
on
that.
and the eight on spawn, but that doesn't follow up the teamwork.
Right. So I think I'm trying to figure out how to approach this. I think I also got some activators hand one. I think for any player who understands this environment, it's tough as a battle side deck to get too many activators in an early hand and not be able to place out. It really forces you to fight even when you don't want to. Maybe I should have bet one here and fought anyway, but I liked that I'm pretty sure that teamwork is not playable. Now you have to watch out for Phil Miller because he is capable of misrepresenting that. He's done that to me in the past, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Phil is a very good player, and I almost feel like I can see a Batman 3 multi, but I like this as an opening salvo. You're saying, okay, I wasn't able to place enough cards. I'm going to start right off with the ice tactics and see if I can get rid of a premier card. Now, do you remember? Are you going for the 7 or the JW?
I think the JW. I think I was trying to count. I think I went into this game fearful of the JWs in a way where if I just realized that I had the trainings, I didn't need to be as fearful. He's using Mole Man, and make Mole Man great again. I've been playing Mole Man in my Mole Jammers for higher deck for a number of years, and so I have a lot of respect for that JWJZ synergy. So Phil goes strength strength with a three strength ally and a seven strength AR heavy weapons from Spawn, and I eat both those hits on Nightcrawler.
And then you're going to try to fire back with your speed. But yeah, to address the Mole Man thing, I love seeing it. I love it's again a negator that you almost I think almost anyone would have told you if they're going to play a max 6 negator at that price cost, they generally would play Mojo was kind of the common because I believe he's about the same cost. I think they're both 16. But I think to take a page out of your book, I think Phil's doing something very similar to what you did with your Mole Man deck last time. He's seen Mole Man has 5 energies that cannot be defended with a special card, and White Queen has the JWs, which creates 2 attacks that can't be defended by special cards. So he's he's using a very similar mechanic of probably trying to set up plays where you're thinking you have defense and you don't. For example, if this teamwork were to hit Nightcrawler, that 5 would be a kill shot, and you'd always have to make sure you had a 5 power card to defend him.
Now, so this is where I think I got in trouble. As we talked about, Phil is capable of making this play. He likes to sometimes represent that his teamwork's not completed, but then he's holding the power card in hand. And so he threw the three multis to follow up. I took it, and then I
And
forgot
then
to
you
discard
and then you healed, and I do like that play. You tried to keep it placed on the Inhumans.
it.
That's a pro play. Not everyone knows to do that.
Hey, if
But
you're not cheating, you're not trying. No, that goes to, these long tournaments, where we had the qualifier Friday night. I stayed up testing this after that. Um, you know, mistakes get made. But so Phil follows up that three multi with a seven. It's probably gonna make me use my eight any, which if you watch the prior match, I only run one eight in this build. So that's it for my eights for Inhumans for the rest of the game. But we will see. I think that teamwork being playable really hurt me this battle. I also think in future battles, I used my Morlock combat lockout for Storm too early, and I think that's going to come back to haunt me later.
yeah, well, it's like we always said. I mean, even just his tournament performance this day is the thing. You can never count the Strangler out. Phil is a great player, whether he's got 6 missions in the defeated and 1 in the reserve. Whether he's I've never asked him this, but I start to suspect he's got a partially eidetic memory. I feel like at any point in the game, he knows exactly what cards he's seen. I've heard one of the things I hear other players say most often about games against Phil is he just always has it, or he always has exactly the right thing to throw. I don't think that's luck. I think he is knowing exactly what to hold in his hand, exactly when to throw them. And if you know, it's like playing a pro chess player or a pro poker player. If you make one mistake or have one misstep, he's going to be able to capitalize on it.
So I just pitched a duplicate Knock 'em Silly and a duplicate Angel Activator, which is a little unfortunate, but I did that my goal in that first battle, apart from trying to win it, which I didn't, was to get the Knock 'em Silly powered up with those hits on Mole Man. So Mole Man, that makes that Knock 'em Silly discard 2 cards, and obviously I'm gonna hope to keep powering that up as the game goes forward.
No, I missed it. Phil must be playing Age of Apocalypse for his battle site since I see a Morph a Void. And I
Yes,
okay, that yes, I do remember that from our commentary we did on the Swiss match the other day. I believe he was using the Power Mimic as his one per deck. Right, you weren't on for that game. Phil had an awesome play where his White Queen got taken out. I think a little to his surprise. His JW was stranded on the home base, and late in the game, he used his Power Mimic to copy the dead JW off his home base and throw it from a different character.
that's fantastic.
It was pretty great move.
This is a really fun deck that, Phil's playing. Of course, I love that he's using Mole Man because that's my boo. I think Mole Man's underrated. I love White Queen. I like that he's using a great battle site and he's using basics. So, I mean, this is a deck that I can get behind. Unfortunately, I think it might kick my behind, and that's a problem. But
Well, he's definitely controlling the tempo. I think he's won both games or both the first two hands. He's maintaining the placing advantage the way he does. You know, you two are probably the best placing mitigators in the game, but that's going to put him to a pretty commanding lead in the top. So you're going to have a lot of work cut out for you to make this comeback. Now,
now,
Phil's got an event in his hand that's about to pop out. So Phil is going to draw two. Phil's playing he's playing the Assault on Onslaught mission set, which has seemed to do well for him. I'm not really sure exactly what the main thought process is behind it. Um, I'd be interested to hear like why he chose that over other things at this point.
so this
But
is I have a good memory of this match. This is about to be really interesting. What Phil is showing me is that he chose Helping Hands and we both got to draw 2 cards you can keep duplicates, and we've trained against each other for many years and we're friends. He showed me that he drew 2 spawn 9 or less as duplicates. So he has all 3 available in his hand right now. I showed him that I drew a duplicate Knock 'em Silly. So
and
I
do
have
you
access to 2 Knock 'em Sillies this battle.
are you normally forced to reveal that?
No, you're not. I think, things we should talk about for the new game. There's an element there of someone unscrupulous in the old environment could misrepresent that they drew duplicates when they really drew them in their first 8. So I think he just showed before he pulled them to hand, I know this looks fishy, but I drew the 2 9 or lesses. And, this might look fishy, but I kept the duplicate, knock 'em silly. So
Well, that is a very gentlemanly play for him. For new players, if you do ever find yourself in that situation and you don't have the confidence to reveal it, what you would do is just call a judge over, keep them to the side, and just step with the judge and say, "Hey, I want to show you that this is what I drew. It hasn't been added to my hand yet." Just so if anybody has any questions later, the judge is aware of it. But let's take a look at this game state because you guys have spent a few hands placing out. Phil's got a commanding venture lead, but you guys have some heat on the table. We know Phil has a ton of numerical defense. You've got a 9 that's probably not getting through with 3 of those, but a 10 that gets over the top. Knock 'em sillies that can hit Mole Man for 2 and needs a full defensive card to block. But Phil's also sitting on his White Queen. What's that card called? The big white
telepathic manipulator.
Telepathic Manipulator, which makes you discard all place cards to a character and moves them into reserve.
So I think
Um,
Phil just went either 2 or 4 for the win. I think maybe just 2. Um, Now, important to note, we have no teamwork to be played this battle. And so that does mean, again, I like my pacing to be able to slug it out. He's going to power mimic and copy the telepathic manipulator to try to
oh,
pin Deadpool.
wow. So even if you had the one piece of defense for it, you know that it's just coming at you again in another second.
So I think this is game point, so I have to fight for my life. I negate it with Beast. I lead out as a counter with a Cheshire Cat for intellect aspect attack from the home base. He defends with his 4 multi.
And then you got to throw the knock 'em silly and just try to get.
Yes.
Well, wait, do you have? Oh, you had one in hand. That's an
Because of the
interesting choice.
event.
I would have probably played the placed one and then seen if he went for a different target. Because
So
if
it
you,
hits. He pitches a 5 energy, and I don't know what the other
I
card
think he
was.
pitched the other 9 or less.
Yeah. I think he's again against my deck that's non-numerical. Those have a little less value than if he had that scenario against a true team working deck.
Yeah, I mean, he wants, I think at this point, he's going for the win. He wants to maintain the most offensive numbers he has. He's already got 2 9 or lesses and a 6 or less. He can't play the teamwork, and he's only representing a 6 for numerical damage. He needs to make sure that that 10 isn't going to put you over the top.
So he forces me to use my team 9 or less from Spider Woman on a 4 multi-make additional, and there comes the telepathic manipulator, and it is successful.
That is so brutal. That the power mimic. Wow, it really goes to show you we've seen every play that Phil's played that power mimic this tournament has been a game shifting play. Not a special. I always knew it was good, but I think we're seeing here that that is a great play back though. So the question is, Phil has got an 8 energy and a Shadow Cat in his hand. Does he play the Avoid for Shadow Cat, or does he play it on a different character? Most people don't play it off Shadow Cat, but
I
we have.
like to play it off Shadowcat in my Muir Island build, but I'm a little weird. So I think he conceded after that pin. So I did
Okay,
stave off elimination,
so that's
and
not so bad. You only lose the teamwork and the one knock 'em silly. I guess in the end, that's probably better than losing the 9 and the 5 off the Inhumans.
so I think that Phil was playing that battle as game point on the odds that he could have telepathically manipulated me twice. And once he didn't, I think I had the right counter. It's unfortunate for me that I just didn't populate a royal family, or I would have been able to win that battle and not lose the placement. But sometimes your deck just runs the way it runs.
Yeah, so you have a duplicate 5 because you have the any power 5 placed. Phil has 3 duplicates here. So, um, Phil's a very good deck builder as well. Not usually someone I see get a ton of dupes. So he's actually been running surprisingly bad. Had he not had that event, this hand would have been 3 would have been 2 protector of the innocents, a duplicate JW, and a few other dupes as well. So that deck really kept him from having like a 2 card draw this hand.
Yeah. I do like that event set that he's using. That event is very interesting one to get 2 duplicates. It's probably letting him, again, sometimes draw multiple JWs or multiple JZs once an opponent's painted, and certainly duplicate, activators is never a bad thing as well. So I placed a 6 fighting on a Deadpool, and I have the Bushwhack, that's the 4 energy, may combine with a fighting power card for a single attack, and that would get me above his 9 or less. I think he conceded there, or did I concede? Let's
I
see.
think you conceded there. It looked.
No, 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 I moved
Nope.
up.
Okay, I was gonna say
I
I
think I
feel
just had
like
a
that was a battle that you really want to fight.
I think that was a big bet too. I think I might have bet 3 or 4 there. I think I'm at now either 3-3-1 or 4-2-1. So, don't call it a comeback. I've weathered the storm for a little bit. Let's see if I can try to figure out a way to
Yeah.
put
So
Strangler away.
and
Oh,
you guys are both relatively fast players, so you're not under a time crunch here. It is real rough that Phil was able to place the spawn 9 or less avoid on the home base, the battle where he had the duplicates, because now he's sitting on a real solid defensive shell. Now, another thing I will say about Phil, until this hand, he hasn't really been drawing his negates either. So that's going to be a little bit tough going through the end. Is even with all the heat that you have, Phil's probably going to be looking at getting 3 negates in a row here from Mole Man, and we saw a Holocaust in hand. I'm not sure where his negate is, but it's possible. I mean, he's certainly either got the avoid or the negate off Holocaust, I think, at this point.
so I think I bet 2. I can't couldn't see it. It's clearly not for the win. I think I like my position with an aggressive bullying type deck to lead off. I lead off with a 1 intellect ally against Spawn. Now, I'll tell you, I don't love my choice of target there. I'm not sure why I'm spreading damage, but we'll see if there's a logic to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the mentality is, but he allows it to hit, and then you're gonna try to pin white
White
queen, which
queen.
I agree. I really like that for a target. You know, the only other choice, like you could make an argument to just try to pin spawn, and that is just 12 points of venture you know is on the table this hand.
I think I was very much afraid of the JW mechanic, and Phil was able to get Inhumans, or I let him do it, paint them with two colors really early. Maybe I regret that rewatching this, but I was trying to get that knock 'em silly going, and I guess it saved me in that game point. So
Oh, well, we have a first here in commentary being done on a match after the match. For those of you who don't know, you can actually watch us do this in our Discord channel. And the Strangler himself has wandered in and has put his hand up to join us on stage. So let's invite him up to the stage, and we'll have both players chatting about the game. Phil, I'm gonna hit an invite and just go ahead and accept it.
while we're waiting for Phil, Phil threw the two make two additional attacks from the battle site from Morph, which is a challenge for me to keep Inhumans alive. And here comes the three intellect JW for the kill. Let's see what I do with that.
Hey,
Hey,
Phil,
Phil.
welcome to the stage. Phil, can you hear us? Well, Phil may be having a little bit of a mic issue, so we may or may not be getting him here, but he is on stage. If his mic is unmuted, we'll be able to hear him. But you guys look to just be tossing a lot of attacks back and forth here.
Yeah, so I think he was able to get rid of my power card placed with that first part of the JW, and it looks like maybe he chose not to follow it up. Um, I think because the multi wasn't for the kill against Inhumans, he thought different of it, and I respect that. I counter here with a strength ally onto spawn, so I guess that's painting spawn with the two colors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He defends with, I believe, his Cthulhu 5 multi. And let's see what I throw after that. I think I'm thinking about how to approach this. If I'm me, I think I have to get 9 and 11, don't you think? Before they
Uh,
die.
yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of pressure and a lot of heat, and you also have to keep in mind, um, even with the three multi there, he does have the ability to jack up those multi power cards with his basics if he chooses to go offensive. So you are in a position where if he throws the four ally from if he throws the four aspect
Aspect.
card from the home base and then follows it up with a multi with a basic, that can be a 4 and a 6, both are kill shots. You need to have a lot of defense to be able to weather that storm.
Now, what's interesting with this Inhumans build, again, I'm only running 1/8 any power card, and I'm running 3 royal families and then 1 of everything else besides the 4 fighting. I don't want to say that I've exhausted Inhumans, but they're getting close. And this isn't a deck that's designed to go into Power Pack. Phil says he's sorry he doesn't have the ability to speak with us right now. But glad you're here watching, Phil. I threw the 9 at Mole Man. It looks like he used his first 9 or less. That was placed to his Dracula's armory.
And I think that was an inevitability. I mean, a player as good as Phil, he's never going to use one of those 9 or lesses when there is a 9 or less on the board, unless it's for a kill shot. And maybe that's your mentality for switching targets. You know, the Dave, you have a 2-hit target set up for the Knock'em Sillies. Maybe your idea is just get the KO pressure on spawn and try to force the 9 or lesses to be used up. You know, once they're used up, he's not going to have any more.
I think I'm also trying to figure out a way to kind of snatch defeat from the jaws of snatch victory from the jaws of defeat and use the bushwhack combined to sneak a kill here. And down goes Inhumans. He uses the Supe, the 4 brute force aspect. And I think right there I had the 9 or less avoid you see. I think I just knew that Inhumans was not long for the world and I needed to focus on Nightcrawler,
And
who
I
is
think you make the right call because you see he immediately follows it up with a 4 multi power from spawn. One thing I'd like to point out that's kind of cool, we've been talking a lot about players using more than one of those four multi cards. Phil Keffer was talking in one of the earlier matches with his Magneto deck that I believe he won a tournament with this season. He's a big proponent of min maxing how many, and he never thought he would use more than, he said that he put one of them in there because he just needed another card. And he was blown away with how much it actually got fully negated. And I think he said in later iterations he added a second one. We've seen at least two of them from Phil here. So I agree. I've always loved a four full multi. I think is a very underrated card. I think you're going to notice in the new environment where I believe Sherlock Holmes is the only one we gave that to. He's an 8 ranker, and I think some people have looked at him and thought he was a little vanilla, and I think people are really underestimating some of these base mechanics and how strong they actually are.
I agree. I definitely have considered when we get to the Texas Shootout, a build of this Deadpool deck with Sherlock in the slot for Inhumans. So I think I conceded. I don't know that I accomplished what I wanted there. I don't think it was for game point. I question whether I needed to fight there to this might have been a mistake of a battle. But we'll see how it works out for me. I think I thought he might not have the answers, but he did that battle, and we'll see how I get along without Inhumans. I had not seen, I believe, any royal families, so I think those are coming.
No, you remember because you got a
Oh yeah.
duplicate of one earlier.
Oh well, I tried to play one twice, right?
Yeah, and that was the one you had duped out on it. One of your dupes was a royal family. So we've seen at least two. We've seen the pin. We've seen the 9. I don't think we've seen the Gorgon, and I don't think we've seen. I don't know if you're playing any Lockjaws, but we haven't. I don't believe we've seen any of those.
No, I'm not playing Lockjaw. I do sometimes play it in my mill deck, but it just doesn't seem to work for this build. And I'm already at this deck is currently 76 cards. I'm currently testing a version at 74 where I condense my activators even further. We'll see if that is the Texas Shootout winner for me. So it looks like is Phil betting for the win?
I can't see what he's gone. I think you're actually betting first.
Oh, did I
May-
win there?
Maybe not. I'm having a little bit of a hard time. The one of the tough things is when we do these films, we're not to the point yet where we have the best angle. So sometimes it's the table gets shifted throughout the day, and it's a little hard to see the mission. But Phil places out. Phil is very good here too of reloading later in the game. Phil is taking full advantage of having the right draws, all the placing slots.
Oh,
Oh, that is a huge card. We saw that earlier in the last game with Sean. That is both players discard all placed teamwork cards. No teamwork cards can be played. That is going to get 3 teamwork cards, 18 venture, plus all that speed from Phil Miller is going to go away, and it is going to have basically 0 effect on you.
yeah, I've run about 2 teamworks in this current build, and 1 already came this game. And so, yeah, this is a big swing for against Phil. It probably helps me. I get lucky in that that helps the placement advantage swing back to more even. And I
More
think I'm at
even, that actually puts you up 1 card instead of down 2 cards. That is a huge swing.
but there I have my speak of the devil. I said I run 2 teamworks. There's one of them.
So
But
Phil also dupes on a negate, dupes on what looks to be a power card. Phil is so we may be seeing the game change here. Now Phil does have some tricks. He does have his tricky little 5 energy that can't be defended. He is going to place that negate on the home base. He's got some high power cards and activators in his hand.
so I'm counting my actions. I'm not sure if I'm thinking about a bet for the win or just whether I cut and run. But clearly, I can't really place the Spider Woman. My placement is a little capped, and that event has swung it back in my favor. We'll see whether I try to capitalize or, Phil has had my number over a number of years. For the audience watching, I played probably hundreds, maybe 1,000 games with Phil online with the old Underpower online client. So he's my old sparring buddy. I think he really got me to the next level of my game back in those late 2010s before Lazarus Rising games was a thing. Um, but that means we also kind of know how each other plays, and even my maybe dutifulness of placing is probably just inherited from him. He's kind of my coaching tree, if you will.
So you look to venture here.
Oh, late duplicate for me. Late
I think
duplicate
I
7.
think you win two. It looks like Phil might have gone for the win here. He gave you a draw. It looks like he might have gone one from the middle, two from the top. So I believe this hand might be for the win. So let's see how it goes. So even with the card advantage the way it is, Phil still risked giving you an extra card and took that swing, and unfortunately, it was a pretty big dupe.
Yeah. Now this goes to like I wish I hadn't spread that one intellect ally to Mole Man. I understand in that battle there might have been a strategic imperative, but if right now all these were on my Mole Man for the KO, I'd be in a much better position, right?
Well,
So
to be fair, it wouldn't actually be a KO shot with that Nightcrawler card. It would still only
no, it
be
wouldn't.
strength and intellect.
That is true. I run into that more often than you'd think. Unfortunately, in this deck, it's a little heavier than you'd think on intellect and strength. I should work on that.
So Phil's trying to make a decision here. It sounds like he's going for the win. He's trying to decide exactly what card he wants to block with and if he wants to up block. Now, the other problem with this deck is Mole Man has the 6 energy. Phil has diversified his icons to not get hit as hard probably by the anti-energy events. And so Phil's got to decide if he wants to blow a basic universe card this battle to get rid of that, if he wants to negate it, if he wants to use a full avoid. Probably we're going to see him. Oh, he's going to take it. All right. And he's going to do the tried and true strategy of not letting you use your rescue operation and throwing all the attacks at Spider-Woman.
Now, going back to earlier in the game, the first battle when I used Morlock combat early, that ended up costing me this game, I think, in terms of right here, I can't lock out into my Spider Woman 9 or less avoid. And also the battle where he made that fantastic play to power mimic telepathic manipulator. I think I had a storm activator in my hand where I could have locked out Deadpool if I hadn't used that earlier. So that's where, the best players like Phil, they tend to not make those little mistakes. And while I still view myself as a top player somewhere, I haven't perfected my game to avoid those mistakes.
Now
I'm throwing
this is one also. Are you out of Knock'em Sillies? Because it's surprising to me that you wouldn't stack up extra hits on Spawn.
So I'm not sure if I'm out or not. I think I'm telling the audience too many secrets, but you guys deserve it. I run 4 Knock'em Sillies. So I might not be out, but I might just have one left. And I think this is in the game point fight for my life mode, right? It's just I'm desperate trying to do something to generate pressure that'll make him defend. And like we just said, I think I might have too many intellect icons in this deck. I do try to build my decks to spectrum and I count all my icons, but I think I might need a little more energy, but I digress.
I'm surprised too. Why did you not choose to block? So his first attack was the 6 with White Queen. I'm surprised you wouldn't just bamf that in a game point situation. It's the best you're gonna get for that bamf. 6 points of venture for a 6 or
Yeah,
less avoid.
honestly, this is maybe exhaustion where I'm not the best player, but also where I think I'm really trying to figure out how to keep Nightcrawler and Deadpool alive. In this deck, any of the deck builds, the other 2 characters are just supporting characters. They're the show, right? It's Knock'em Sillies and his Trick Transports. That's why Inhumans only has the 1/8 any power in the deck. I can't afford the space, and I'm just trying to get their big numbers. So I do agree with you. If I could do this again, I don't know how close the points are. We'll get to count it and laugh at my mistake. But I'm saving the Banff there, really trying to keep Nightcrawler alive. Uh, Maybe also trying not to lose the war while winning the battle. Because if Nightcrawler dies, even if I win this game point, Deadpool by himself and Spider Woman aren't going to get the job done.
Yeah.
There's a 6 for the kill, and I let it hit. Did he? Wait, what? John?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. Let's see. I look. Maybe there's a logic. Like I just explained what my logic might have been, which is that I can't lose. Uh, I can't lose Nightcrawler. So there's a 5 multi. special. It's the disappearing act for the kill on the mole man. Phil's got the 9 or less avoid play, so he could use it on that, but um
And that's kind of a bummer because one of your great plays with this deck is you can combine that with one of the trainings. And
oh, no, not yet. I can't. Not in the current rules. And even then, I don't think it says multi-power power card. That card's frustrating. I
oh,
do like it.
I thought that that five specifically said it could be combined with either.
No, you're thinking of what is it for Quicksilver? Rapid Ripoff? No, Rapid Ripoff. So he has his 5 multi you can combine. Quicksilver is somebody I need to play. I love Quicksilver, man, but he should see more play. Quicksilver plus Spartan, you get him a 9. And that 9, 2 combined could also be followed with his 1 make 2. Sorry,
Yeah,
back to
well,
the action.
to get back to the action, so the 5 multi gets through and it does KO Mole Man. So you are making some headway here. You now know that he's already used his negate. So the 10 is gonna be a hit other than the fact that he has one of his basic universe cards, I believe,
I know,
or
let's say he's searching for
he had an X-Men activator, so he might, or was it a beast? So he's gonna lock him out and he's gonna avoid it.
that's
And
the game.
you said, "I just don't have the ability to generate the venture if the 10 doesn't hit." So Phil Miller, Cinderella story,
Ah,
coming from behind with an 0-2 start to the event, looking like he might not even make the top 8, and he's gonna take this match down and he's gonna move to the top 4.
Phil, you have my number once again. Dang it.
And
Um, I think it was a great matchup. I really don't understand why I didn't use the Banff earlier to keep the action onto, um, Spider-Woman. But, these tournaments, we say it all the time. It's almost becoming a trite line, but they are grueling tournament days. It's one thing to play a game of or two of casual overpower. When you've played, 10 to 20 games in a weekend and your brain's just starting to melt. I think there are some mistakes there by me. I wish I could get back,
well,
but
it's good to
that's why
watch him
he
though.
is.
Yeah, it's good to watch him and keep those in mind. And for those listening, I think there's so many professional Magic players, poker players, people who talk about all of the things they do to maintain their mental focus during these long events because they'll tell you that is the biggest opponent that you face is fatigue, is a lack of focus. And you get a player that handles it well, they will take advantage of any small mistake. If you want to go look up through our Facebook page or on our Discord, we have a champion series of articles for people who win events. And Phil Keffer wrote a really fantastic article talking about all of the really kind of meticulous and in-depth things he does leading up to the event, but more particularly on the day of the event. I always kind of would tease them lightheartedly about not playing the Friday night event. We a lot of times have a casual Friday night event, and new players want to play fun Magic against the pros. Phil Keffer is someone who routinely goes to bed early. Really, he plans his diet out, and just like it's a sporting event. He thinks about what he eats the night before. He thinks about what he eats and what times he eats during the day, so he doesn't get sugar rises and sugar crashes. So it's not a joke when people say like the mental gruelingness of a few days of this is important. It's really it's something that there's a lot of thought that goes into it.
I think also with most competitive things, but particularly card games and strategy games, just a player or two really can swing the game, particularly with Overpower. It's not like Magic the Gathering in that it's very rare that a deck will just completely top deck and be unstoppable. I think in this game, if I could have chosen that first battle, I played Morlock Combat. If I had just played Hurricane Winds, I think in my head, I thought I was going to fight out the rest of the battle. That's why I used the Morlock Combat. I think once I came to my senses and saw his placement, I realized that I couldn't win that battle. But then I wasted my premier lockout from the deck. So those are I don't want to say it's inexperienced because I played this game for too long, but those are the mistakes where I need to build the rules of my deck, and using the lockout early is just a big no-no.
Yeah. Well, so this top eight, if I remember right, Phil Miller played Dave McMillan. Dave, you just got knocked out. I played Joe Peters, and Sean Sawyer played Carl. So we had three Lazarus Rising game alumni making into this top eight. We all got knocked out in the first round. So this
Yeah, we
is
did.
a top four that's going to be Phil Miller. It's going to be Joe Peters. It's going to be Carl Carafino, and it's going to be Justin Sadie. Do you remember who Justin played in the first round?
I do not.
I feel bad. I want to give everybody a shout out who made the top eight, and I'm
I think
spacing.
was Justin the 3 seed? I think Sean Sawyer was the 1 seed, I was the 2 seed, I think Justin was the 3, which meant he faced the 5, and I don't know who the 5 was. Maybe it was Joe Peters.
No, I faced
Oh,
Joe
sorry.
Peters.
Then maybe it was no, could've been Carl. Who was the 8th person?
I'm forgetting. We'll have to look
Well
it
well,
up. We apologize for forgetting you, but Justin did win the match and went on to the top four. Because I remember Justin played. I believe Justin plays Carl next, and Joe Peters plays Phil
did
next. And
did
the reason I
Justin
remember that is because Carl and Phil, or Carl and Joe Peters, are both playing Hobgoblin in their deck. And I'm looking forward to, I don't know which one's on camera, but we're going to get to see a Hobgoblin match on camera next round. So,
did Justin eliminate Sean?
no, Carl eliminated Sean.
Okay, yeah, who was the 8th player? We're
Yeah.
gonna find out who the 8th man is or woman, and we will give you your due credit in the next video.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, thanks for being with us. We've gotten a lot of good insight on people as they played their decks during this commentary, which is always fun. Probably enjoy this while you can, because next season, I believe almost I'm not going to be playing. I'm going to try to do live commentary for every single event. So let's thanks for being with us, and we are going to go to the top four match, and we'll see you over at that video.